Question: how does an undefeated two-division world champ end up looking like a car crash victim? Devin Haney was the overwhelming favorite, considered a defensive specialist and something of a modern-day Mayweather. Well, because of his highly decorated resume, he was overrated by the fans, his father, and himself. Against Ryan Garcia, he got chin-checked. Again, and again, and again. What happened to the best jab in the sport? Or the elite footwork that made him the youngest undisputed champion in boxing history? To make matters worse, Garcia was out of shape, out of his mind, and drank, smoked, and partied up until fight night. Haney had every advantage on paper, but that's the problem. On paper, the 26-year-old is already due for the Hall of Fame. But when you dissect his wins more carefully, his career is aging worse than you think. This wasn't just an upset, this was a generational beating. Devin Haney fell for boxing's most dangerous trap, and if he's not careful, next time he won't get back up. On Friday, May 2nd, Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, and Teofimo Lopez all returned to the ring in a historic Times Square, New York event. And 24 hours later, Canelo fights for the undisputed crown. I'm expecting knockouts up and down both cards, and you can watch both events for the price of one at DAZN.com/Murdoch. And if you buy the Knockout Weekend bundle, you'll also get a 7-day free trial. Or grab an annual plan and get the first month for free. This might be the greatest weekend in boxing history. Don't miss the action at DAZN.com/Murdoch in the description. Unless your last name is Garcia, you probably thought Devin Haney would win. And you were right to think that. By all accounts, the undefeated, undisputed two-weight world champion should beat the overweight alcoholic TikToker. But this is boxing. Haney got beat to a pulp. And because this is boxing, he's technically still undefeated. More on that later. Of his cohort, Devin does have the most accolades. But does that make him the best boxer? If we take a look at his 3-fight run-up to Garcia, it looks pretty good. A unified lightweight champion, a 2-time light welterweight champion, and 2-time Olympic gold medalist and 3-division world champion. This is a resume of pound-for-pound excellence, but records don't tell the whole story. Each of these wins comes with an asterisk. He absolutely dominated George Kambosos, who hasn't shown anything close to the elite level since. It's hard not to see him as a one-hit wonder, which makes Haney's undisputed title feel a bit cheap. The Lomachenko fight was shrouded in controversy, and you'll have a hard time finding anyone who doesn't consider it a robbery. It probably should have been a close Loma win at best, or a draw at worst. And after refusing the rematch, he vacated his belts to move up in weight and challenge Regis Prograis. This was a strong performance, where he knocked down the champ and completely outclassed him. We certainly saw his skill, but what this fight really revealed was Devin's best attribute. Not his jab, or his speed or footwork, but his ability to cut massive amounts of weight and effectively rehydrate before fight night. Take a look at his opponents. Haney is always the bigger, heavier man. Kambosos and Loma are already considered small for the division, and even though he moved up to fight Prograis, when the bell rang, he was 8 pounds heavier. To be clear, I'm not saying Haney cheated or even did anything wrong. He weighed in exactly at the 140-pound limit and put on 25 pounds overnight, which is within the rules. But if you make up nearly 20% of your body weight in a day and fight lightweights as a super middleweight, you're a weight bully. Of course, Haney looked good muscling around world champions. He had yet to pick on someone his own size. Then came Ryan Garcia, who was too busy partying to cut weight. He stepped into the ring at 160 pounds. Still lighter than Haney, but not too light to not do any damage. His left hook stole the show, knocking Devin down 3 times in a highlight-heavy affair. To his credit, Haney got up every single time. But as the fight raged on, 2 major holes in his game became increasingly evident. 1. Without a significant weight or reach advantage, he couldn't dictate the pace of the fight. With Garcia being his first opponent who matched his size and athleticism, his pound-for-pound skills seemed ordinary. From what we saw, I still think he's the better technical boxer, but it exposed the second fatal flaw in his skill set. Haney can't punch, and without knockout power, he's gonna have a lot of problems, especially as he continues to move up in weight. He could land on Garcia fairly easily, but he couldn't hurt him. Ryan had zero respect for his power, so he was fearless in launching his offense. Haney hasn't landed a knockout punch in 6 years, and with 0 stoppages in any of his championship fights, his entertainment value as a pay-per-view star is severely hindered. It was a rough night for Devin, and his only saving grace is that Garcia tested positive for PEDs. Now, Garcia absolutely deserves to be ridiculed, suspended, and stripped of the win. But if Haney wasn't prepared for Ryan Garcia to throw a left hook, then it's hard to say how much the gear really mattered. There's a lot to dislike about Devin Haney, but I think boxing fans are being unfair. When has someone who's been on the receiving end of a steroid performance ever been this vilified? He's never missed weight and always comes ready to fight. Yeah, his dad is lame and suing Garcia is kinda soft, but I think boxing is better with him in the mix. After a year-long layoff, his upcoming fight against Jose Ramirez isn't doing him any favors. Ramirez is a former unified world champion, but that was over 4 years ago and he's coming off a loss. It looks good on Haney's record and I do think he'll win, but I'm not sure it addresses either of the aforementioned flaws. Who knows what we're gonna see from Devin Haney? After suffering a brutal beating at the hands of Garcia, he has a chance to prove he's more than his resume, that he can take a loss, make adjustments, and evolve. Is he truly a student of the game, destined for greatness, or simply a good fighter who only looked great when he had every advantage in his corner?